Hi everyone. This video is being made to show you how to upload your output, which we acknowledge could be a bit nerve-wracking, and it's always nice to just watch someone else do the process first and be like, it's cool. It's a little complicated, but it's cool, and I've got this, and I just got to follow these steps and I'm going to be fine. So the first thing you need to do is sign up if you haven't already. I have, of course, so I'm going to log in. You will log in with your email. Oh my God. Don't laugh at me at my email. I realize it's ridiculous. Anyway, moving right along. Signing. So the first thing that will happen when you sign in is you will always be redirected to this page, which is your profile settings in your dashboard. Fill it out as you would like to. There's lots of information here, but that's not what we're focusing on in today's video. Come here to dashboard. This is where you upload your outputs, okay? So let me get my face out of the way. I'm still on the way. Anyway, what else? Right, so today I'm going to upload one of my own publications, an output that is now fully formatted and ready to be released from my PC and sent into the world of the global ecosystem of research. So I'm ready to part with it. I love the work. I believe it's of the highest defensible quality. It's rigorous, it's ethical, it's credible. I see it as having value for someone else who can learn from it. If they were interested in that work, it's ready to go. So here is where I would upload it. Now, before I do that, I'm actually just going to work you through a couple of these buttons. If this was a preprint, so it was at a point where I was like, I'm really happy with my manuscript, like it's good. I'm good. I can defend this work, but it hasn't been peer reviewed yet, and I really want some feedback so that people, my potential buyers, are aware that it has been peer reviewed, and if I choose, I can make that peer review history public so that that potential buyer who's looking at my abstract, who's looking at my title, is intrigued by the work and goes, yeah, but has it been peer reviewed? You can be, yes, it has. Here's the history. Here is my demonstrable history of how I have taken my work to account. Now, the thing with peer review, everybody knows this if you've been in the academic publishing world for any length of time, can be quite brutal. And sometimes we get feedback that's really jarring and hurtful and disrespectful and it shakes us up. After we've worked through all of those emotions, sometimes we land in a point where we go, actually, they might have had a point. And if that's the case, put that stuff into your revised manuscript. Sometimes we land in a point where we're like, you really have no idea what the hell you're talking about. And I am even more confident in what I was saying. But if I try to explain explicitly why I'm even more confident about my position and why I disagree with yours, and I actually write that all out in words, I make my work better. So even when you are met with resistance from a peer reviewer, there is value in that, okay? And we ask you to treat that process as pedagogical. It is all a learning experience that is going to make your work even more ethical, even more rigorous, even more credible. And they are the kinds of outputs we want to attract on our platform for dissemination, okay? So it's a good thing. Anyway, if you want to do a preprint, this is where you would come and you would click upload preprint, and it would take you to the form. If you look at the tab, I've actually got it open here already, preparing your outputs. Blah, 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 blah. Went too fast. Here, sample form, upload preprint, okay? So if you go to that, you will see the full form. Click a button. You'll see the full form that you need to complete. So you'll be fine there. I want to upload a publication. So let's do this. I click upload publication. Let's get my face in the corner again. And then we're going to fill out this very long form. Now, the reason we have filled out a form, created a form that you need to complete that is so thorough and extensive and comprehensive is because we acknowledge that self-publishing has a stigma. People trust research that has been peer-reviewed. Understandable, I'm not questioning that relationship at all. Unfortunately, however, the peer review system in the traditional journal world has got so many problems that creative solutions needed to emerge, and our platform serves that purpose. Okay, so what it meant is that it had to break away from traditional models and do things drastically differently to overcome the drastic number and extent of problems that system perpetuates and perpetrates. But it meant then that it needed new strategies to say, yes, but even though we're doing things very differently, that doesn't mean that the work that's being published here is crap, has no value, has no worth, has no merit. That's not true. So what we've done to overcome that stigma of self-publishing is build in some resistance into the form so that people don't go, oh, you just self-publish it, you just upload a PDF and it's good to go. It's actually not like that. And in doing so, we're hoping that you take the platform seriously, and so do your readers. Both need to understand that it was hard work to get your work up here, okay? And that you were asked a ton of questions to make sure you meet our criteria for ethical, credible, rigorous research. Okay, so the first thing you need to do is make sure that whoever this person is that is uploading this form, the corresponding author, you, is also the first author, okay? The first author is the corresponding author by default at Scholar Freedom and is defined as the person who did the most writing to the output, okay? Who actually sat down and started drafting this manuscript and took primary responsibility for polishing and refining and creating those words. We don't live in a vacuum, okay? There are people who will have helped us with data collection, data analysis, grant writing, ethics application. Check to make sure that everyone who should be receiving some form of proper attribution for this work is acknowledged and identified as an author. But the corresponding author is the first author who took primary responsibility for producing the output you're uploading, okay? So this should be you. The next thing you want to do is answer this question. Do you believe your work is of the highest defensible quality and therefore ready to be published? My answer to this is yes. Now, if you're the kind of person who's going, oh my God, no, I'm not, don't panic. If it's a no, and we ask this to make you sort of check in with yourself and have a good, thorough, honest conversation with yourself. Is it ready? And if the answer is no, abort. Cut this process down, stop uploading, come back later, okay, when you are ready. You should be at the point where you're going, yes, I can defend this work. I'm really proud of this work. I think it's really good work. It has value, okay? Don't let any perfectionistic horrors of the mind, which academia is very good at producing in its people, to take over. Doesn't need to be perfect, just needs to be good, high quality, okay? And if you're wondering what high quality means, let me come back here again to this page. Preparing your work, we have a definition here. This section here of what we mean by high quality. So check this, read it, make sure it is ticking all of these boxes, okay? All right, what type of work are you uploading? I am uploading a research article, but it could have been any one of these things. What discipline does it fit? Now, in my case, it's human society. And the reason I know this is because if you come down to again, this page. The preparing your work page is important for you, obviously. It says choosing your discipline. When you upload your output, you will be asked to select the discipline it most fits. Below is a guide. So if I scroll down here, I will see my work is actually fits in the discipline of social work, and that's why I have picked human society. Okay, what language is the work written in? English. Now, here is where you are given a worthy tip. Copy and paste. All right, so let me pull out here's one I prepared earlier. Here is the output that I wish to upload. All right, so what I'm going to do is literally copy and paste. So Control C, Control V, to make sure that this information is exactly matching. All right, what is the title of your work? What is the abstract of your work? All right. There's some hints in here that you can check out. Keywords. Now, I went a bit ballistic in the output, in the real output, but, you know, for someone who's just browsing, they don't want to read 20 keywords. They'll feel overwhelmed. So what we're going to do is just pick 3 to 6, enter. Thanks. And I will stop there. I'm good with this list. All right, and then we click next. Before I hit next, I just want to show you something. I'm going to delete that. So here I'm getting a red box, which is telling me you have missed a box. So make sure you fill in all of the boxes that are highlighted as mandatory. And now it's gone green again. So I'm good to go. We click Save Draft. That just always makes me feel better. And this page, all of the information that you've put on this page is now saved. Click Next. And now we shall get the authorship page. All right. Now it will populate who is logged in and uploading the output, because that is who the corresponding author should be, as well as their email. Now, this is a sole authored article. So in this case, I'm going to obviously select 100%. Have all authors been added? Yes. Okay. And at that point, it will create the author contribution statement. Had I said no, then I would add another author, and I'll be prompted the same information, first, last name, email, percentage contribution, okay? And then you would add them, and you would keep doing this process until everybody had been added, and then you would click yes, which is when the author contribution statement will be generated, okay? So it will have the email of that person and their percentage contribution. If you read here very clearly, it says, as soon as the corresponding author selects next, each co-author will receive an email asking them to approve the author contribution statement. Okay, so as soon as I get nervous, we're going to click save first. As soon as we click next, I'm actually going to get an email that says, an output has been uploaded to Scholar Freedom. Please log into your dashboard at your earliest convenience and accept the author contribution statement. So that will happen. Okay. Now we're moving on to more information about the output. Do you confirm that the work submitted in the manuscript is original and not been published elsewhere? Hang on. I got distracted. I'm sorry. There you go. Scholar Freedom, you've been listed as an author there's that email. Sorry, let me come back. Do you confirm that the work submitted in the manuscript is original and not being published elsewhere? Okay, and not presently under consideration of publication by any other journal other than in oral, poster or abstract form? Yes, I do. Okay, that must be yes to proceed. My study obtained ethics approval from a human research ethics committee, so I would select that. Now, here I'm being asked for the ethics approval number and the body that gave it to me, all right? So I'm going to pull that straight out. Control F, sorry. Ethics, here it is. From the manuscript, so that everything is matching rather than typing it out again. All right, so that's that. Funding acknowledgements. I'm going to go to the bottom of my manuscript and literally copy and paste what I put in my manuscript. Okay, I don't have any other acknowledgements to make for this particular research output. All right, is there any other peer review history you wish to give or credits you wish to give? You have 4 options for this box. The first is to leave it blank and provide absolutely no information at all, which is totally your prerogative. If you have nothing you wish to say, don't say it. It might even also be a relevant thing to do. For example, you might be uploading an informed comment. You would not have an informed comment peer-reviewed. It's an informed comment. So leaving this blank is completely acceptable, normal, almost a bit weird if you had done it kind of thing. You might put in just a brief comment like, oh, I'd like to thank Dr. blah, 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 or, you know, blah, blah, whatever. You can do whatever you like, but it's like a 1 sentence or a 1 paragraph. It's just a brief comment. You're not doing a full peer review history here, for example. In my case, this is exactly what I would like to do. So I'm going to say that. This manuscript has incorporated constructive feedback obtained from reviewers in the traditional journal system, which is true. This paper had actually been desktop rejected by a number of journals, so never made it to peer review, and there was only 1 or 2, I think. Gosh, now I can't recall. But I remember at the time thinking, you know, a number of them had actually said some really useful stuff, and I put that information in. So wherever I thought that they had offered feedback that actually enhanced the merit and the rigor and the value of my research, I put that information in, okay? Now, let's say, for example, I actually wanted to provide the full peer reviews of those 2 reviewers that I just mentioned. I can do that. There's no problem here. So in this case, what you would do is upload a larger file by completing, I mean, you can do it however you like in this particular instance, but what we do have is a previous reviews template. So let's go back to this preparing your page. Scroll up here and it will say, here is your previous reviews template. If we click on that, it will give you this file, okay? I will let you read that by yourself. The information that appeared on your first page of your manuscript should be reappearing here, so we know exactly what work this is. You need to complete a statement of declaration that every piece of information you're providing in this peer review history is a full and accurate representation of the peer review you obtained, and also that you have not named the journal and you have not named the editor of that journal, okay? And then what you would do is literally put in any comment that you had received from an editor or any of the reviewers in here, one per line, or however you'd like to do it. Indicate whether or not you actually made that change, yes or no, and then what your reasoning was. What's your explanation? Why didn't we make this change? Why did we make this change? Where have we made those changes? Okay, so this provides and acts as a full demonstrable peer review history for your potential buyers, who will have access to this document for free to be able to browse it and go, yep, these people really did hold themselves to professional account. I'm quite happy to part with the money to purchase this output. Okay. Sometimes a journal will ask for multiple rounds. So you might, for example, say journal 2, round 1, round 2. Okay, you can fill it out exactly as you see fit. So let's go back to here. My face will disappear. So I've done what I'm comfortable with. If I had made the preprint, submitted the preprint through Scholar Freedom, I would have obtained, let me speak clearly, some peer reviews, and I have the choice, along with my co-authors, to decide if I'd like to make that public or not. And all you would do from your dashboard is say, make visible, and it will make the peer review history of that output publicly visible to your potential buyers. It's another way. So instead of filling out the peer review, the previous reviews template, you would just come here, go through the peer review system here, and make those links public, and they will auto-populate. Whatever information they provided will show up. Okay. Now, if you had chosen to complete that previous reviews template, fill it in, save it as a PDF file, and then upload it here. Okay. I'm not doing any of that, so that's all good. Now we come to our waivers. Do you have any perceived or actual conflicts of interest to declare? This is really important. Don't lie. We don't want liars on our platform. We want honest people. We live in a complicated world. If the answer is yes, there is a potential perceived conflict of interest, say so. I actually think you purchase more trust when you are honest. So just do that. People will also be more likely to treat the work that you are publishing with more regard and more respect. Okay. So let's say, for example, you have a peer reviewer that you know personally. Say so. Yes, there is a perceived conflict of interest. Someone may not have provided the rigorous, robust feedback that you would hopefully like to obtain from an anonymous peer review process. But that's for the reader to decide, the potential buyer, and be like, I've read that peer report. It looks pretty good to me. Despite the fact that they know this author or set of authors, they've actually provided really comprehensive and useful and constructive feedback. I'm fine to pay for this, okay? So just be honest, all right? In this case, there is no conflict of interest for me. And I'm just going to literally copy that out from what I said in my manuscript to ensure it's exactly the same. No conflict of interest to declare. You might want to copy this sort of text. There are things here you can copy as you see fit, as I mentioned. We need to make sure that you are not salami publishing your research. Okay, so here you need to provide a statement on whether or not the content and wording is substantially different from your other published work. Now, if it's a standalone piece of work, obviously you'll just say something like, there is no or negligible overlapping content, and you can literally highlight that, Control-C, Control-V, and stick it in here, okay, and copy that. You can take the information that's been provided in the instruction text. In my case, I do have overlapping content that I need to declare. So I put that in my conflict of interest statement, okay, and I'm copying and pasting it here. This paper comes from a large-scale study that had multiple research questions and multiple hypotheses, okay? It's too big to put into one journal article. The technical report from which this work comes does actually contain that information there, but that technical report also contains a whole heap of other information as well. It's a really junky document, okay? So what I've done here is I have sliced the material, but I've done it in such a way that the overlapping content is actually less than 10%. And in academic publishing, we see that as something that's going to happen, and it's sort of like an acceptable leeway. So make sure you're working toward that goal. This way, authors or potential readers can come in and look at, I'm just interested in that, and that's all I'm paying for. But I also need this output to act as a standalone document. If a reader reads this and they purchase it, they need to have enough information about what was done, why it was done, what they found, and what this author think it means, and where to from here. So that's your classic research intro method results discussion. Okay, so all of that information needs to be here. Of course, that creates overlap. So make sure you are using unique wording, okay, and that the overall content in terms of word count is less than 10%. All right. Now, the answer really to this question should be, yep, the content in this output is free. I'm literally copying and pasting here. The content in this output is free of anything that could be deemed abusive, defamatory, libelous, obscene, fraudulent, or illegal. This is my ethical speech declaration. Okay, I am saying that this work is free of hate speech or anything defamatory. If the answer to this is no, and it really shouldn't be, you will be held to account by the entire community that is on Scholar Freedom. They can flag your work. If you do not retract it, you could be blocked from Scholar Freedom. We want a really safe, ethical platform and space for our academic community. All right. If I had needed to get any permissions for the work that was being published in this output, all I would do is copy and paste it, take screenshots of emails that show your approval, proof of payment, whatever you need to do for anything that you needed to reproduce, put that all into one document, consolidate it into one document, Word file, save it as a PDF, and upload it here. Okay. In my case, I have not reproduced any material, so I have not needed any permissions. All right. So I'll just literally copy and paste NA, no permissions required. It may be the case for you that you have reproduced some material, but it's considered fair use, okay? In which case you haven't needed to get any permission to do that, so that's fine. Just literally copy and paste this section and put it in here. All right, references. This is actually a reporting requirement that we need to do from a platform perspective for Scholar Freedom. So literally copy and paste them here. Okay. Have you checked your references? Oh my God, to death. Yes, I have. And please make sure you are saying exactly the same thing. There should be nothing in the reference list that hasn't been cited in text, and there should be nothing cited in text that isn't on the reference list. They need to be exactly matching with nothing missing or extra in either place. They also need to be formatted perfectly. If this is not your forte, engage an academic proofreader and copy editor who will do that work for you, okay? A research assistant or a critical friend colleague who's just known for being super anal like I am, and which I own with pride. Virtual high five to all of you who are as anal as me. I love you guys. All right. So has the work been formatted in the Scholar Freedom Word template or used the logo and included the open access statement? So there's two options there. You can either use the template, and as you can see, I have, which is why my output is formatted in those in-house formatting requirements. But if you didn't, and you decided to use your own formatting, there would still be two things that you need to do. This logo needs to appear on the first page of your document. So that's the first thing. And this whole section here also needs to appear on the first page of your document. This is the full open access statement with the CC BY logo showing that you own this work. And then you also need the copyright symbol with the words the authors and then the year of your publication. Don't forget to change this as the years tick by and make sure that that matches. So yes, my work has been uploaded in the template or done what was required. Save draft, hit next. All right. Now, study attributes. Now, you don't need to complete this if you don't want to. It's just a description of the work that you've done. I'm going to do it. Which regions was the study conducted in or the literature reviewed from? Now, it was conducted in the English-speaking West. I'm based in Australia. But the study actually took a global perspective. So I'm going to tick global. What is the gender of your study participants or focus of review? In my case, the majority, it was on practitioners and their experiences working with victim survivors of child sexual abuse from migrant communities in Australia. And the majority of the victim survivors are female, cis female, and the majority of the practitioners working with them was cis female. So I'm going to say that that was the focus. All right. In terms of age, there was none, so I'm going to select no age focus. What was the study design? For me, it was mixed methods. I used a bit of qual, a bit of quant. But in your case, for example, you might say no data was collected. This is an opinion piece, for example, or no data was collected. We've done a meta-analysis or a systematic literature review. You just pick whatever is true for you. What was the study's rigor? So in the qualitative studies, I can't say that we saturated themes, and in the quantitative component, I can't say that I had sufficient sample power. So I'm going to pick the third, which is I think this study has value and is important and has something to offer the field, but I wouldn't go so far as to call it rigorous. It doesn't quite meet that really strict criteria in research, but that doesn't mean it's useless. It's just means I'm owning the methodologies, the studies, the methodological strengths and limitations of the work. My work was very practice-based, so I have actually articulated implications for future practice. There were some suggestions for research as well, but it wouldn't be the others. I haven't generated new theory, I haven't made policy recommendations, and I haven't got any implications for teaching articulated, but that may be the case for you, so say that. Okay, there were a couple of hypotheses that I had in this study, and not all of them were supported, okay? So in my case, were negative results found? Yes. Some research questions or hypotheses were supported and some weren't. So I do have some negative results to report. All right, save, hit next. This is the bit that will stress people out because it's new. Normally in the traditional journal system, it's the journal that allocates a DOI for you. So here we are in the self-publishing world where you're going to do it yourself. Don't freak out. We're going to be fine. You click here, this beautiful button, Generate Unique DOI. There it is. Select the whole thing, Control C. Now, let's get my output up. I want my full screen. You're going to copy and paste that into two places. First in the header, Control V. See how I told you I was super anal? It matters. Leave me alone. All right. Make that pretty formatted, exactly as it should be. And then the second spot is here. Also make it pretty. Libre Light size 9, so that's what I'll do. All right, with the insertion of those, of the DOI, sorry, I've just realized that that should be size 8. Okay. With the insertion of the DOI in those two places, this output is now considered fully formatted. It's ready to go. I'm going to hit Control C, and then I'm going to save it as a PDF. There we are. All right. So let's shut that down. All right. Come back here. Oh, don't shut that down. Open it up again. Here, citation. Now that I have filled in the DOI in the citation, copy and put that here. Okay, it should match exactly what is in the manuscript. Oh goodness, I haven't thought about the price. I'll have to think about that right now. All of you with your co-authors need to think about the price. There's some tips here on preparing your work. There's some tips here that you might want to read about in terms of pricing your output. I'll leave that for you. It really is your call. The corresponding author's currency preference plan will show up from their profile settings because you'll be prompted to ask that. You've got 3 options, AUD, USD or Euro. So pick it and it will auto-populate from whatever you picked there. But here I'm going to make it, honestly, it's your call. I'm going to sort of, let's go back. Okay. I can change this at any time, so I'm not fixed at this point. If I'm unhappy with this price, I can change it later. So we're all good there. But honestly, that is the only thing you can change. So please make sure you have absolutely everything else in a state where you're like, I'm good to part with this. I have looked at it to death. I'm sick of it. It's in a really good state. It's time to let it go. Price you can change anytime. Here we upload the output that is now fully formatted. All right. If I had actually put in a preprint, then here I would be prompted to put in this information, the citation of the preprint, so that the relationship between the publication and the preprint is always clearly documented. If, for example, I wasn't uploading a publication here, I was uploading a retraction, a notice of retraction, then here what I would do is put the citation of the output that is being retracted. So it's not just the relationship between preprint and final version that always needs to remain clearly documented. It's also the relationship between any output and a retraction of that output. Okay, I can leave it blank. We're all good. That's it. Yeah, see? Right, NA, if not applicable. I shall then. Save draft. Okay, submit. It's done. And there it is. Okay. Now, as you know, I got an email saying, go and approve the author contribution statement. So here is where I would do that. ACS, your author contribution statements. There's the paper, there's the abstract, email, percentage. I can download the output at any time, but this is the button I really need to accept. Click, accept ACS. As soon as that happens, it's accepted. And then once that happens, man, I'm too easily distracted. Once that happens, it shall show up here in the continuous scroll. So when people go to find research, they will be directed to this page, and each output that gets uploaded shows up here. All right. And they can do all sorts of things. They can like it, they can bookmark it and maybe check it out later, share the link, flag it if they're not happy, click here, and I can get all sorts of information. I can add a comment about it, and this is where we would create a community of people who are interested in this kind of work. We can click on see more and get more information, or we can purchase it. If I click, everyone feeling happy? I hope so. Hopefully this has demystified the process. So you can see it needs time, it needs patience, you need to be in a good space, you need to have your cup of coffee with you or your cup of tea. Take your time, do not rush. We only want high quality outputs, and that means you need to be in a space where you really are ready to let it go. But once you do, hopefully you're off and running and you can build your academic portfolio on your own time and earn from that amazing, wonderful work that you do, for which we are most grateful. Alrighty, bye.